We are going to jump right in. We've got a 3 segment episode today. We're going to be talking about trolling, we're going to be talking about casting, and we're going to be talking about jigging. And a lot of the stuff that I want to talk about with casting, I don't know if you guys read the description, but it's not going to be Livescope. We're not talking scoping. I think scoping is pretty simple. And a lot of you guys I get in the shop that have questions about casting, specifically for walleyes and stuff like that, that don't have live scope. And you can do exactly what a lot of the guys are doing on live scope. I mean, it's hard to see the fish out in front of you, but we're going to talk about getting into those areas with high concentrations of fish that you can effectively cast these things. So we're going to talk about casting, and then obviously we're going to dive into our baby, and that's vertical jigging. And it's coming up quick, guys. Water temps are anywhere between 64 and 65 degrees right now in the river. So I'm thinking like as early as next week. I'm going to be out probably Friday and Saturday morning. So I'm really looking forward to getting out there and seeing what's going on. But we're going to dive into trolling. And these segments we're gonna talk about it as early fall to late fall, because a lot's gonna change in a short amount of time. Especially like this week, we've got some warm temps coming up, and then shortly after that, it's gonna drop right out, and a lot of our lows are gonna stay low. So we want to keep an eye on that as the water temps start to drop. And when you guys are trolling, it is the most effective way for you guys to cover water, put multiple baits out there. I mean, depending where you're fishing, right? In US waters, you're allowed 3, or in Michigan waters, you're allowed 3 rods per person. In Canadian waters, you're allowed 2 rods per person. But basically, it's a way to get out there and run multiple rods per guy, get multiple baits out there, different colors, different sizes, different styles. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about. And you can cover a ton of water, and especially earlier in the year, it is like the best way to go out, especially on Lake St. Clair, and have a multi-species day, whether it's walleye, smallmouth, perch. I mean, we've caught perch on these big bandits right here. So, perch, muskie, pike. I mean, you name sheephead. Everybody loves a good sheephead, right? Um, I can't even say that with a straight face. So, there's a ton of ways to catch them, and you can try a bunch of different baits, and you can go out there, and anyone with an electric trolling motor in the proper equipment can do it. Now, getting started in trolling isn't necessarily the most price friendly, right? You got to buy a few rods, you got to buy a few reels, you got to buy some planer boards, you got to buy some baits. But typically, once you're set up, you're not snagging a ton. So minus that rogue pike or muskie, you're going to have this stuff for a really long time. I mean, I've got a bunch of stuff in those boxes right down there that I've had for a long time. So that's something that's nice about trolling. It's worth spending some money on that stuff. It's the best way to get out there, cover a bunch of water, and basically get a bunch of multi-species bites. But we're talking walleyes, right? So as the fall rolls on, you guys got to think about forage. That's going to be a really big thing. It's going to be an emphasis throughout this whole podcast. But we're talking forage, right? We're talking, especially on Lake St. Clair, perch. You'll notice a lot of the baits I'm going to hold up and show you guys are perch colored. There's a reason for that. There's a lot of perch. There's shad. There's shiners. We got a lot of emerald shiners starting to come back. All the bait shops, right, are getting loaded up with emerald shiners. That means our bait guys catching them. So you can tell that there's a lot of shiners out there. So you want to be around bait. If you're driving around, if you're trolling around, doesn't matter if you're trolling the edge of the channel or the weed beds or anything like that. If you're trolling around and you're not seeing bait, you got to move, because these fish are constantly following bait. The fall bite is by far one of my best times, or one of my favorite times, to target these walleyes. Yeah, the spring's fun and you catch that big migration and there's fish everywhere. But if you want to find hungry, aggressive fish, the fall is by far the best time to chase them. And the other thing about fall, which I know there's a few of you guys in the comments that are going to disagree with me, but everybody's hunting. You've got deer hunting, you've got duck hunting, you've got bird hunting, you've got upland game hunting. Like, that's all started, right? Like, goose and small game started September 1st. Bow season's going to start in October. Third week of October is duck season. The boat launches are empty. The pressure is a fraction of what it is in the spring. And these fish are feeding. They're hungry. That's what they do in the fall, is they put on their feed bags and they're getting ready for winter. If you think vertical jigging fish or catching fish, whether you're trolling, jigging or casting, like if you think that's fun in the spring, watch it in the fall. You want to watch a fish dunk a planer board, troll them in the fall. You want to have a fish basically rip the rod out of your hand, jig them in the fall. So be on that bait, guys, because that's what those fish are doing. They're not worried about spawning. They're not worried about transitioning. They are eating. That's what they're worried about, is eating. So when we talk trolling, you really need some major keys. You need a rod. You need a reel. We suggest lining the reel with either 10-pound Trilene XT or 12-pound Berkley Big Game. We're going to get a little bit more into that why, but it specifically has to do with the precision trolling app right here on your phone. So you want to keep a similar diameter. I believe that diameter is 0.014. That's the diameter that you want. That's tested on the app with all the baits. And we're going to go over that app here in a minute, but that's what you want. So get a rod, get a reel. Next thing's planer boards, guys. I really like running these yellow boards. Try and cover my address a little bit here. It's actually my parents' address, so be kind to them. But I always actually write my address on them or put them here on the back. Anywhere, like if one of these do break loose, then if someone will be able to find you, if they're typically really good fishermen out there, and good fishermen are nice people, they'll return these for you. They're not cheap. But I definitely suggest writing your address or your contact information, maybe a cell phone or something like that on here. But we really like running these offshore boards. This one's beat up here. It needs to be touched up. But you know, offshore or church, they're both Michigan brands. They're awesome boards to use, but you're going to need a planer board. I run mine with the tattle flag attachment, right? Because if you're trolling, and especially like this time of the year, if you're trolling and you get, whether it's weeds or a perch or something like that, you'll be running, and all of a sudden it'll pull down a little bit. And if your board starts running like this, something's wrong with it. You might have some weeds, you might have a perch, you might have a white perch, something like that. So I really like the tattle flag adjustment on there. But that's basically it. You want these boards. They're on here for you guys that don't know planer boards. It's got it right here, right and left. The sides are the way you're facing when you look forward. So if you look forward and it says right, put it out on the right-hand side. I know it sounds like common sense, but you can get really spun around because you're always facing backwards while you're trolling. So you can get really spun around like, oh, does this go on the right or this go on the left? As the boat is going is the way that you want to put these boards. So just a small little tip, because save you some time and hopefully catch some fish. And see right here, that's the best thing about these boards. Made in the USA. Support USA and support Michigan products, guys. I can't say enough about that. Super important. And then you need baits. And you're going to say, well, what kind of baits do we need? Because there's so many out there on the market. Well, there is. So you got to find baits that you're comfortable with. And I run baits that I'm comfortable with. I run flicker minnows, 11s and 9s. Depending on the time of the year. Look at that. We got some weeds on this one just from last week. Get this off here, not get hooked. Run flicker minnow 11s and 9s. I really like running the 9s all summer and really like later in the spring and early in the fall. I'll switch to a bigger profile bait the earlier in spring we get or the later in fall we get. Both of them dive fairly similar. You've got a really similar bill shape here. Let me just see if I can figure that out. Both of them dive really similar. So flicker minnows are a really good bait. Another bait that's an absolute workhorse all year round, but it's a really, really good bait in the summer, early in the fall, and then even as you get later into fall, right here. I don't know if you guys have used these before or if you've seen them yet. This is the PWC Light. It's from Bill Lewis. This one actually has a chrome bill. So like most baits have like that see-through bill, right? You can see the chrome bill on this. These baits are awesome. It's a little bit smaller. It's really similar to like a Flicker Minnow 9 in size. But these baits are awesome here. You can pull them fast. You can pull them slow. They dive deep quick, as you can tell by the big bill right here. So I definitely highly recommend checking out some PWC lights if you don't have them yet. I mean, look at that bill just shine right here. Look at that. You don't think the fish like that? And then as the water gets colder, so whether it's early spring or obviously we're talking fall, so as you get later into the fall, because guys, that bite on Lake Erie and Lake St. Clair gets so good in November, December, and even into January. That's when we really beef up these baits. We'll run the PWC Light's bigger brother, the regular Precise Walleye crank. So here's the light compared to the Precise Walleye crank. You can see it's quite a bit smaller. Much bigger bait, much deeper rattle, if you guys can hear that. So the PWC is a really good bait to run in cold water. Obviously, this bait crushes all year round, no matter what body of water you're on. I knew this was going to happen. All the crankbaits have to get tangled up at some point. There we go. This is a killer all year round. Obviously, the Bandit. This one here is one of the JT Custom Tackle. I believe this is a Madness color. This one crushed for us in the spring and has been really good for us so far this fall. So obviously, any bandits are always good. Everybody runs bandits. But sometimes running a bait that not everybody's running can be very beneficial to you, especially when there's a lot of pressure out there. So check that out. And then a bait that's kind of forgotten about, but it's still a really good bait as more and more baits come out. I mean, Rapala came out with the new gold miner. It's an awesome bait. I actually left them all at the store. So unfortunately, I don't have any on me right now. Shame on me. You can find them on our website, or you can stop in the store and see them. But one of the baits that I really like right here is the Husky Jerk. This here, I believe, is a Husky Jerk 14. I actually really like the 12s. The 14's got the mega bill. So if you're fishing that super deep water, especially if you're trying to win the fall brawl or the walleye slam down there on Erie and you're fishing deep water, this might be a better bait for you. But I really, really like the DHJ 12s, the Husky Jerks. They've got a really good wobble to them. They've got a subtle rattle, but a nice tight wobble to them. They seem to be really good for us, especially out on Lake St. Clair. So I really, really like those baits. And then other than that, guys, for terminal tackle, because that's another question I get that we don't really think about. For terminal tackle, I love running snaps. A size 1 or a size 0 snap. No barrel swivel on it, just a snap. Give me 1 second. Just one of these guys. That's all you need, right there. Just a snap. See how it doesn't have the barrel swivel on it and the line is tied directly to the snap? That right there is all you need. It keeps your bait running true. It keeps your bait running straight. And that's just what I prefer. I feel like when you go with the snap swivels, you can sometimes get a little loose in there where the swivel wants to spin, especially on those baits. So I really like just running the snap. It's pretty simple. And that's about it, guys. I mean, that's really all you need. And then if you're a troller, let me pull this up for us. You need to get, or at least think about getting, the Precision Trolling app. It's an unbelievable app. For anyone that's been on our podcast before, you've seen it. But it's got tons and tons and tons and tons. Are you guys sick of it yet? Of baits on there. It's got everything. It's got everything there, from offshore snap weights to tadpole weights to any bait you can think of. So like I'm looking at bandits right now. Here's the Berkeley's. Here's a Flickerman 09, and here's a perfect example of it. So see right here how it says Berkeley 10-pound XT. That's what they're tested for, and it's all about the line diameter. So that's why I recommended getting a 10-pound XT or a 12-pound big game. Next thing is right here, this little slide here. So if you want to figure out how deep you want your bait, so if you want your baits running 10 feet down, you'll put it to 10 feet down, and boom, it automatically changes it to 34 feet back. So you know that if you put this Flickerman 09 at 34 feet back, your baits are running about 10 feet down. That's super important to know, whether you're fishing over top of weed beds or as the fall rolls on and those fish move shallower. You want to be above those fish or where you're marking them on the 2D. Makes sense? So if you're marking them on the 2D 12 feet down, then you need to come to your Precision Trolling app right here. You need to put 12 feet down. And see how 2 feet down changes the line depth almost, almost 10 feet, 11 feet. So it makes a big difference. So having this app on you, and you can purchase it for the one-time purchase, or you can buy it per lure, or find your friends that have it and use it from them. But either way, definitely check out that app. It's going to guarantee that your baits are in the strike zone, and that's pretty important. Guys, if you have any questions on trolling, please drop them below now. Because that's basically all I've got for you on baits and stuff like that. When you are trolling, I mean, obviously, as you guys drop your questions below, I will mention like where to kind of look for fish or start to find them early in the fall, like it is right now. And really until these weeds die, targeting weed beds and the edges of weed beds is going to be your best bet. There's tons of perch, specifically speaking about Lake St. Clair. There are tons of perch out in the lake right now. A lot of small perch in the lake right now, and that's what those fish are feeding on, and that's what they're chasing. So if you can fish the edge of those weed beds, basically making your baits look like they kind of wandered out of the weed bed, that's an easy target for those walleyes to feed on. We also like to target the channel edges, because a lot of those fish are going to slide back into the river for a fall bite before they pop back out to the lake for winter. So I really like focusing on those flats along the channel edges, no matter if you're north, middle, or south. The channel edges work really good. And then if you can find any isolated structure. So if you find any sort of rock piles, wrecks, drop-offs, or anything like a ditch, you can troll those, because a lot of times the walleyes will hide in that structure, in those humps or whatever, just trying to kind of jump on their prey. We will answer a couple of these questions real quick, guys, and then I'm going to move on to casting. And I'm really excited to talk about casting because, again, we'll touch a little bit on Livescope, but I really want to dive into casting without Livescope. That's how we're going to start the segment. And if you guys have questions on Livescope, you can ask them. But I really want to focus on it without. So, Kurt, how fast do you typically go when trolling in the fall? Kurt, that's a great question, man, because right now with the water temp still up, I'm almost treating it like a summer bite. I mean, you had no problems going 1.8. Even as fast as 2, try and get that reactionary bite, especially if you've got something like this with this, bling bling on the bill here. You can try and get that reaction strike. But as the fall goes on and you start to get into those 50s and then eventually work into those low 50s and the 40s, you're going to eventually dial it back down. And usually by like mid-November into December, we're getting down to about 1.2. And then, eventually when that water gets really cold, you'll get, right around that 1 and below. But if you're heading out right now, shoot for that 1.8, maybe give or take a little bit, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, depending how the fish are acting. If you're going out this weekend, it's obviously super warm, so you can get away with those faster speeds. If you're out fishing and it's one of those cold fronts, then you might want to slow down a little bit. But I would stick around that 1.8 and then, kind of work from there. All right. If you ain't scoping, you hoping. That's what I hear, dude, but I'm going to tell you why that's not true. We're going to get into it, and I'm very excited about it. And casting, we're talking about casting. Yeah, we're talking about casting. Let's get right into casting, and we're not talking Livescope. Oh, my God. It's such a hot button. I'm so sick of it, especially being in the fishing industry, and my social media is constantly fishing stuff. I'm sick of hearing about the scope. I'm sick of the bass guys talking about it. I'm sick of the walleye guys talking about it. I'm sick of everybody talking about it. It's definitely a helpful tool. We could talk about it on end, why I think it's a really good tool and why I think that it can really help you catch fish and really learn fish behavior. But what I really want to talk about is not scope, because there's a lot of people out there that obviously don't have $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to put Livescope on their boat, but they love casting. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Specifically, we're talking the lake. Like if you're in the river and you're casting, find those current breaks, find those rock beds, find those sand flats, and you can cast on those. And the baits that we're going to talk about here in a minute, we can really dive into in the river, but we're primarily talking the lake. And there's a few baits that I love casting. Jigs and plastics, whether it's a split tail plastic or a paddle tail like a swim bait. What do we got here? Jigs and plastics, glide baits, and rip and wraps. Those are like my 3 favorite baits that I love casting, especially into the fall. Those rip and wraps can crush fish in the fall when they get aggressive. And what I'm looking for casting is you can use your 2D and find a lot of this stuff. So just motor around. So if you're in the open lake, let's talk open lake first. If you're in the open lake and you're trolling around weed beds or you're just moving around and you're watching your 2D, 2 things you want to look for. 1, you want to look for tall weeds turn into short weeds or sand. That's the best. That's what I really like to do when I'm chasing those open water fish. And I'm essentially just going, I've got my boat in gear, I've got my 2D down, and I'm going 2-3 miles an hour, a little bit faster than I would be trolling. And I'm looking for marks, just like you would when you were trolling, right? As soon as you find those marks, start to pay attention to where those are in the water column. So say you're casting a jig and a plastic. And this is just a 1/4 ounce jig with a Crush City Mayor. These Mayors are really good swim baits. They've got really good colors on them. They move really good. But say you're casting a paddle tail here, okay? And you're driving around the lake and you're consistently seeing marks 10 feet down. It's really easy to find a way to put these baits in that 10 feet down. Count it down. Just take your rod, pitch out your bait, and count down how long it takes your bait to get down to the bottom. So if you're in 14 foot of water and it takes 14 seconds, let's do easy math here. If you're in 14 foot of water and it takes 14 seconds for your bait to get down, your bait's falling about a foot a second, right? So then let's do some quick math. If I want it 12 feet down, I want it down about 12 seconds. So now what you'll do is bomb it out as far as you can so you can start covering as much water as you can. Count that bait down to 12. As soon as you count down to 12, 1, and don't speed up your count. You're not going to cast it out all of a sudden and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 because you want to start reeling. Cast it out. Give it 12 seconds. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. As it gets down to 12 seconds, you can start reeling. And then as you're reeling, pause it. You can actually see how close you are to the bottom by how long it takes your bait to kind of pendulum down to the bottom. And as soon as you start getting down to the bottom, you might even feel it hit the bottom. Because a lot of times what I like to do, especially if I'm not in super thick weeds, is I like my bait to go down to the bottom. And then I'll start reeling again and pull it back off bottom. And then I'll stop and let it go back down. And then I'll let it go back up. And you're working the water column. You're trying to find out where those fish are. That is one really good way to judge where your depth is and stay in the fish. So if you're marking a bunch of fish at 12 feet, get that bait down to 12 feet. Count it down. That's what we used to do before we had scope. We would cast it out, count it down, and reel it. I mean, Rapala makes a lure called the countdown. If anyone bass fishes, you know what a spy bait is. You count them down. So it's a really, really effective way to catch fish. Like I said, jigging a paddle tail or like a jig in a plastic. This one here is our green gizzard. Money bait. We'll talk about that when it comes to vertical jigging. But that's a super easy way to cast them. Another way you can cast them is if you're fishing the channel edges, if you're fishing a rock flat, if you're fishing sand. I love fishing my baits right off the bottom. One, I know walleyes are relating to the bottom. Now, they're not all on the bottom. That's what Livescope's taught us, is a lot of these fish are swimming and they're off the bottom. They're suspended. You're fishing a lot of suspended fish. But they will chase that bait down to the bottom. We've watched it happen. The other thing I love about fishing the bottom, especially if you're in sand and rocks, is when that bait hits the bottom, whether it's sand or rocks, it's creating some sort of disturbance, whether it's making a noise, it's making a sand cloud, a little puff, anything like that. So as you fish on the bottom, you're creating more of a disturbance, something for the fish to kind of pick it up and say, I want to eat that. And then they go after it. Baits that I love fishing the bottom with. Ripping wraps. Super loud bait. Super obnoxious bait. We've got two, lipless crankbaits. I call them ripping wraps because I got a bunch of ripping wraps. Berkeley actually came out with one that's super cool. It's called the Berkeley Jack. They look a little different. So here's a ripping wrap. Here's a jack. They look a little different. Jacks are a little bit more narrow. Rattle. Rattle. A little bit different rattle. A little bit different reaction. Same premises. Guys, these baits are awesome for reaction bites. This here is a Rip and Wrap 6. These are It's too early in the podcast to be doing this. By far, my favorite size is the size 6, whether it's a Rip and Wrap or a Jack. These are both size 6s. These baits are awesome because they've got a loud rattle to them, and when you work them, they work up like this. They shimmer, so you can already see it shining in the light, or if you look at it at the top, they work like that. So as you work these baits, and these are awesome to work through rocks or sand flats, as you pop them up, they're going to rattle, and they're going to, you hear that? You can hear them. As they get closer to the boat, you can hear them through the water. They are an awesome bait to use. Fish are super aggressive. Notice the two baits I just pulled out are gold-based. Take note. It's good. But anyway, these are super good baits to use. You can cast them really far. You can work them back. The other cool thing about these baits is you can jig them off the bottom. So you can jig them off the bottom, reel down. Jig them off the bottom, reel down. Jig them off the bottom, reel down. Right? The other way you can fish these is since they are lipless, they will swim in the water. As you swim in the water, they'll swim like this, side to side, side to side. So you can work them off the bottom as you're reeling them, twitch them, as you're reeling them, twitch them, as you're reeling them, twitch them, and getting that sound, that vibration, and really making those fish mad can get you a ton of bites. So don't look past the Rip and Wraps and the Berkeley Jacks. They've got some super fishy colors. You can find them at Hook One Bait and Tackle. Shameless plug. For those of you guys that listen to the podcast regularly, I'm not afraid of a shameless plug. The other bait I love to use, and this is really specifically off bottom, fishing them off the edges of weed beds or anything like that. And I'll pull out my favorite color just because I've got too many of them. There we go. A jigging wrap. Jigging wrap. The shiver minnows work really good too. This one here is the perch color. A really nice chrome base. Again, it looks like a perch, similar to a lot of the crankbaits I held up. It's a really good bait. Now, these you're going to want to fish off the bottom. So for those of you that don't know what these are, we actually did a YouTube video, and we've got a lot of you guys that watched it and supported it, and I really appreciate that because we had a YouTube video of us fishing the channel edge with these jigging wraps, and we crushed fish on them, and we were fishing them vertical. But you can either fish them vertical or you can cast them. These are another really good bait to cast into the rocks. Be careful. Sometimes these fins want to break off, so just pay attention to that if you're in some really heavy cover. But these baits are really good because what happens is they've got a really darty motion. So you jig them one time, they come up. Jig them another time, they go that way. Then they go that way. So they go all over the place. And with this fin, the way they fall is you want to almost slackline them because they'll glide back down to the bottom. And then you dart them. And then they'll glide back down to the bottom. They'll come this way. Whoa, in front of the screen. They'll dart back up. And then they'll glide back down to the bottom. Awesome reaction strike bait to use. Really, really catches fish. A little tip that I like to do if I'm fishing a lot of snaggy water or if I'm fishing by weeds or something like that is I'll actually cut this front hook off, just snip right off. And that works out really well. I don't seem to snag up as much. I don't seem to catch as much like crap that's off the bottom. But these jigging wraps, shiver minnows, anything like that, any sort of glide bait is a really good bait to use. Now, the other really good thing about glide baits and ripping wraps is they sink super fast. So you get down to the bottom quick and you can work it back pretty quick. When you're out in the open lake and you're fishing something like these swim baits or paddle tails here, these baits here, they're not going to sink as fast. So that's why they're a lot easier to count down and they're a lot easier to kind of keep in the zone. Another thing I want to talk about for sure is changing the size of your jig head. So like this is a 1/4 ounce. So if I'm staying up in the upper part of the water column, that's what I want to use as a 1/4 ounce. If I'm trying to fish that middle and bottom part of the water column, I'll probably up it to like a 3/8 or a 1/2 ounce because the smaller jig head you go, especially when you're reeling it in, wants to come up. So you go to those heavier jig heads because then it almost keeps it somewhat level. So just depending how much of the water column you want to work and where you want to be, definitely mess with your jig sizes a little bit. It wouldn't hurt to put a little snap. That way you can just kind of pop jig heads out quick and just rethread your plastics. This one's about seen the last of its days. But just a little tip while you're casting. So if you guys got any questions, please drop them down in the comments below real quick. I do see some people, so I'm going to address those. And then we're going to move on here. Oh, shoot. We're going to move on here to vertical jigging. For those of you that stuck with us so far, because I knew a lot of people might jump on and then sign off. For those of you that stuck with us, share this post. Let me know what you're excited to catch here in the future. We've got 3 giveaways coming up. I'm giving away a $25 gift card here at the end of the video. I'm giving away a plastics pack. So we're going to send you 10 packs, 5 packs of split tails, 5 packs of paddle tails from Hook One Plastics. And then someone else is also going to win a tumbler and some stickers. And if you're not local, that's fine. I've got no problem dropping in the mail and shipping them to you guys. We really appreciate the support, and to show that, we're kind of going to give you guys, we're going to pay back what we've got coming into it. So I really appreciate that. We do have a giveaway. Just hit share on this video again and comment below what you're excited to fish for, whether it's walleyes or smallmouth or perch. I know the perch bite's getting heavy, so that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, for the guys that are tuning in on the podcast and you guys missed this live feed, we'll do a giveaway another time. I've given away so much rum and stuff on the podcast, so my podcast people, you are taken care of. All right. Bombers at night. Yeah, Jeff, that's something really good point. Crankbaits are an absolute blast to cast, especially like when you're by weed beds and the edges of weeds. I really didn't want to dive too much into the crankbait bite because, I mean, bombers, floating rapalas, P10s, jerk baits even, bass crankbaits like DT10s, the Berkeley Money Badger. Those are all really good crankbaits to cast. And maybe we could do like a separate YouTube video or something like that. I think it'd be hard to kind of do a podcast, but I think it'd be really fun to do a video casting crankbaits because it is so fun just retrieving a crankbait and then just boom, it gets stopped. That's a lot of fun. Go gold when the water's cold, Jesse, my man. Gold or purple? I think most of the time you'll notice what's tied up on my rod is gold and purple. Jeff, blade baits, Berkeley Thin Fishers. Yeah, man, the Berkeley Thin Fisher is a killer blade bait, and I appreciate you bringing that up because blade baits fish really similar to these lipless cranks minus the rattle. So they work really well. Blade baits are another bait that you can absolutely fish that's really similar. It's going to work like a rip and wrap or a Berkeley Jack. That same vibrating action, just not as loud. So, yeah. Ripping, casting. Ripping spoons. Yeah? You mean spoons, Cody? What does that mean? What is that? Is that a spoon? Oh, shoot. Is that a spoon? That looks like a spoon. Spoons crush. Jigging spoons are really good. I really like using those in the fall. You can absolutely get away with those late in the fall. Jeff. Well, for those of you that are in the comments, thank Jeff. He just gave you guys a big tip. I was going to do a YouTube video on him. Adding a VMC hybrid treble with the blade is an incredible hack, whether you're fishing Rip and Wraps, Berkeley finishers, and a finisher is another bait. It's a super good bait out in Lake St. Clair that you can count down and fish really like aggressively. You can kind of just shake it as you slowly reel. But yeah, those VMC hybrid trebles with the blade on them are absolutely killer. So you guys in the chat can thank Jeff for letting that little secret go. If you guys didn't know about it yet, I know a lot of guys are learning about it. You know what else that VMC treble is good for? The size 10s on a stinger hook. You're welcome. And I don't actually have those in the store. We will next spring. We're getting ready for show season, and I've got those on my list, but I do not have those in the store. Shame on me. Kurt, what size jigging wrap? My favorite size jigging wrap is a size 7. I like the 7 centimeters. It's a 5/8 ounce. That's actually my favorite. But I really do like using size 9s as well. They drop a lot faster. It seems like size 5s are a little too small, especially like when you're on the channel edge and stuff. But the size 7s are kind of my go-to. That's just about like all these that are in this box are 7s. I've got about 3 boxes like this, and then I've got a box of 9s. I just really like the 7s. I can work them a little bit better. All right. Any silverfish showing up? Not yet, Dan. We haven't seen any silverfish show up, and I think it's just a water temperature thing. I think we're sitting at about 65 degrees. The Atlantics were super weird to us this year, so I don't know if they're going to come back this fall. I don't know where they even went, to be honest with you, because they definitely didn't come in the river like they should. Cody, buckshots casting. Yeah, baby. The buckshot spoons are absolutely killer. I watched you on the back of my boat put a clinic on casting those things. But the jigging spoon is another one of those baits where you can aggressively rip it up and it's got that darting action and then it kind of flutters back down to the bottom. So it works. It works. It works really good. Oh, Roy, that's what these are for, man. I mean, we've only got 17 viewers, so we're spilling the beans to all 17 of these guys, and I'm glad that they're in here tuning in and catching in on some of the secrets. I'm hoping that's kind of what the plan is here is we share the love and yeah, man, we share the love and we want people catching fish. The more people that catch fish, the better anglers that we all become. So I've really got nothing to hide. I think using that stuff can work really good. But if you beat me in a tournament, just remember that and maybe tip your podcast host. All right. Oh, yeah, here they are right here. I didn't even think I brought them out of the boat. Guys, another bait that's absolutely killer out there is the Berkeley finisher. You'll be surprised at the color I pull out here. Oh, look, it's a perch. The Berkeley finishers are unbelievable baits. A little VMC bladed treble right there doesn't hurt. This here's a size 9. We've also got them in a size 7. This, in my opinion, is actually the best color that they make. It's called Nebu. The shine on it and the glow is not the glow, but the hue on it is really good. It's almost hard to even tell in the picture. But this is the 7. This is the 9. You can see the size difference. And this one here is 3/4 of an ounce. This one here is 5/8 ounce. They do not fall anywhere near as fast as you think they would fall. So that's why I like using the 9. And actually, when I was fishing the National Walleye Tour, I got a day with Chase Parsons, which was super cool. We were actually throwing the new Finisher 10. Shame on me for not bringing one. Ha-ha! Hold up. I got one. Of course, it's in Nebu. Boom. The Finisher 10 right here. This is a 1 ounce. These sink super fast. They stay in the strike zone. You can cast them on a line. They say FFS. You can easily count these baits down. Take it from someone who sat in the back of the boat all day for 8 hours. I learned how to count these down, caught a couple fish. But the 10 is a little bit bigger than the 9. It's kind of hard to tell with the glare. I got to get the lighting in here fixed. How unprofessional. But you can tell it's a little bit bigger. But yeah, the 10s are really good. These are actually a brand new product from Berkley. We got our order in early. We have these right now in store on the shelves. I don't have them loaded up on the website yet. But at least if you want to come in and check them out, we do have some samples there as well. So the Berkley finishers are a really good casting bait. Highly recommend them. Super pumped that I'm actually organized and prepared for this. All right, is that all the questions on casting, guys? Again, I wanted to focus a lot on no Livescope, counting down, using your 2D, using what you have available, and that way you don't have to go out and spend a ton of money. You can come to the bait store and spend a ton of money instead of spending it on electronics. All right, so we're going to get into vertical jigging. If anyone has any questions, you can ask them. We'll definitely make sure we answer them, but we're going to dive right into vertical jigging here. It is my baby. It is my favorite thing to do. It's my favorite thing to guide for. It's my favorite thing to fun fish for, although casting is getting there. I love vertical jigging. So, mono or braid? Cody, I typically always run braid. I like running an 8 to 10 pound braid, but I always run a fluorocarbon leader. We always run a 3 to 6 foot. I mean, honestly, I'll take the fluorocarbon and just do this, stretch it way out, and then tie it up. But I like running a 10-pound fluorocarbon leader. I am a boat flipper, so I should probably use the net more. If the bite gets finicky, you can downsize your fluorocarbon. I think you will notice a difference. But a lot of the times, I just run a 10-pound fluorocarbon. I run a, I definitely don't have one of those on me. They're in the boat, but I run Seaguar and Vizex. It's a yellow pack. But Seaguar Red Label is really good, especially for the price. It's about half the price, and it's still really good. But you just want to make sure you check that fluorocarbon leader after every couple fish and make sure that it's not fraying. All right. Vertical jigging in the fall is by far one of my favorite things to do. You guys, I know that the spring bite for vertical jigging is a lot of fun. It has nothing on the fall vertical jig and bite. The number of fish might not be as fast and furious, but the fish that hit your jig absolutely crush them. So now we're going to head out of Lake St. Clair. We're going to head into the St. Clair River or the Detroit River, and we're going to talk fall jigging. So similar to how those patterns are in the spring, those fish come into the rivers, right? That's what we're leading up to right now in the fall. So we're starting to see fish showing up. We're starting to see fish at the channel mouths. We're starting to see fish above the Blue Water Bridge. We're starting to see those fish staging in the lake. And they're going to start heading into the river as soon as that water temp's right. And when I say that water temp's right, I'm talking 60 and below. We're sitting at 64 or 65 right now. So we are this close to really good vertical jigging. We will have a fall vertical jigging video on the YouTube as soon as it really picks up and makes it worth our time. But guys, what you're looking for to start the fall is those weed beds. And then as we transition off those weed beds, you're targeting drop-offs. Because in the river especially, that's the only place those fish have to hide. So you're really going to be able to target where that drop-off really goes down. Personally, in the St. Clair River, it seems to be that 24 to 28 foot range. Jeez, I got really distracted by one of those comments. Jeff, I'm going to come back to that. But typically I'm in that 24 to 28 foot range. To start the fall, guys, no stinger hook. There's still weeds on the bottom. There's still junk on the bottom. Those fish are so aggressive, you do not need a stinger hook. You will be surprised how hard they hit it. This right here is a 3/4 ounce jig. It's our black and gold with our green gizzard. This here was one of our best fall baits. As a matter of fact, this was one of the prototype colors that we were sent when we were coming up with the Hook 1 jig and minnow, and it was so good that we had to get it made in production. This green gizzard was really good, but this is a 3.75 inch bait with a 3/4 ounce jig head. They will crush this bait. This whole bait will be down the hatch. So when you're talking about aggressive fish and not needing a stinger hook, early in the fall is the time to do it. And then as those water temps get closer to the low 50s, high 40s, and you can start to see kind of a lighter bite, which even then those fish are super aggressive. Definitely recommend maybe tying one on. But until all those weeds die off and all that junk is off the bottom, don't even roll with a stinger hook. Just one of these guys right here. No live bait, and that's coming from a guy that sells live bait for a living. No live bait, jig and plastic or jigging a paddle tail. If you do run a paddle tail, just make sure you obviously are running more than a 1/4 ounce in the river. Absolutely crush. Now, some of my favorite colors in the fall vary from some of my favorite colors in the spring. Obviously, I just mentioned the green gizzard's really good. Look at the action on that tail. I know I'm pretty biased, but dang, that's a good looking bait. Another one that I really like to run is our money goby. Obviously, we're still, let's see if this is better. Obviously, we're still goby fishing. It's almost like you're seeing through the plastic there. How do I gotta do this here? There we go. Put some shadow behind it. It's got that translucent to it. The money goby's a really good bait. You can see that gold fleck on there, the brown top, a little bit of blue on the belly there, but when you hold it up, it's almost like see-through. The money goby's a really good bait for us. Again, natural. So we're talking gobies. We're talking, this is from our man Pete. Wait until you see what Pete's coming up with. Obviously, if you guys hit it, the plastics, we got more of these coming. I'm going to save that announcement for later in the month. This is his Dunbar perch, an incredible pattern. You'll notice it's got really perchy feeling to it there. You can see the glitter on the bottom there. The perch, surprise, surprise, we're talking perch in the fall. And then the last color that I really like to use is something that replicates this emerald shiner. So this right here is Pete's Tracer Shad in the emerald shiner. You can actually see the color shift on the back is super nice. Nice looking belly. We put one of these on a jig just to see what it looked like in the tank of emerald shiners. It looks pretty close. That's A+ work on his part. But those natural baits work really good. Now, if the water gets muddied up, which this spring we've all dealt with that, right? If the water gets muddied up, then we're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to stick to our blacks, our dark purples, our dark greens, anything with some sort of chartreuse tail or like a flare on it like that. But for the most part, if the water's clean, definitely stick to those natural baits and find what they're feeding on, because they're going, when they find it, they're going to be very aggressive. Other than that, guys, I mean, the vertical jigging, like I said, the main thing is targeting those drop-offs when those weeds die, and I really just wanted to emphasize how good the bite is in the fall and how much fun it can be. If you have any specific questions about the vertical jigging, drop them below. I can see the comments kind of rattling off here, so I'm going to address some of these before I get caught behind. Jeff, oh yeah, that's the one I was going to get back to. A fall pop-up jigging tournament presented by Hook One. Why not? Who would want to do a fall? Who would want to do a fall jig and walleye tournament? Drop it below. I'll do it. I just don't want to be one of the only ones showing up. We did that pop-up whipping tournament, and I had to close it because it got so busy. So I would be down to do a fall one, as long as maybe Jeff and the Madness crew throw on a early winter trolling tournament on Lake St. Clair. Little eye for an eye. Oh, Roy and Rich. Rich, what's up, dude? Been a while. Biggest perch and walleye in the river. Yeah, Cody's right, guys. They're the biggest perch and walleye are in the river in the fall. And again, most of you guys are sitting up in a tree or sitting in a marsh hunting, and you don't get to take opportunity of this. And I've noticed more people getting into it, especially like we've had such warm falls, like such untraditional falls, right? It's like 80 degrees in October and nobody wants to deer hunt. So I think people are jumping in. But the problem with that is the fishing's also not as good. Like the last 4 or 5 years, we've kind of fell out of our fall fishing because we haven't had those normal trends. Well, now it's September and it feels like the middle of October. So like we're almost there. Like we're almost there. Whipping, Steve literally just hit it as I said it. Whipping is going to pick up in the river. It's going to be incredibly good. Hand lining, the guys hand lining are already crushing. Like we are on pace for a normal fall, and we haven't had a normal fall in like 5 years. So I can't get over my excitement for it. It was a big reason why I wanted to even do this podcast. And this live podcast was, I wanted to see kind of like what the interest was out there. I just think it's going to be really good. Don't be surprised if you start seeing some videos going through our YouTube. Another shameless plug. If you guys are on YouTube, you can check out Hook One Fishing. And our videos are there. We've got shop talks. I just did a really good one. We did one on trolling crankbaits, as a matter of fact, but I just did one on smallmouth fishing in the river. We've also got our podcast up there. I've got a couple on the water videos. Our lake trout video was super cool. I actually might try and go catch some lake trout this weekend. We've got really nice weather coming up. We will see. I didn't get in any salmon fishing, so I've got like and now I've got this barn, so like I want to put a big fish there. I want to put one there. I want to put one there. I want to put one there. So, I mean, the picture of walleyes are really cool, but I want a big fat Lake Erie walleye. Cody. Cody, that's interesting. I will touch on that real quick. Cody mentioned a short shanked jig with the hook through the nose. So basically what he's saying is, and again, this doesn't really help because it's not a short shank jig. Short shank jigs are about half this. The jig goes to about here. All you're going to do on that short shank jig, guys, you're going to take the hook, you're going to take the plastic just like this, and you're going to go right through the middle of the nose and out the bottom. And what that's going to give you on a short shank jig, especially, one, it gives you the freedom to fish smaller baits and lower profile baits. The other thing it gives you to do is it makes the plastic extremely whippy and movey. So it gives it a lot more action than if you were to put the whole hook. Watch, you put the whole hook through the bait. That's unbelievably pathetic, but it's fine. You put the whole hook through the bait and it doesn't move a ton. You put just the shank through there, and this thing wants to move all over the place. So it can give you some really good action. The short shank is actually getting rid of the stinger hook because the fish is going to come up. And see how this is when you know it's a pretty good plastic, is when it folds, because that fish is going to come up, it's going to bite, it's going to fold that plastic, and it's going to get the whole thing in its mouth. That's a really good tip by Cody. All right, whipping is sick. Where'd that just go, Steve? Whipping is sick. Crushing them Thanksgiving week. Yeah, Thanksgiving week. Hopefully I'll be down on Lake Erie. Roy, you know what? I watched you say something earlier about casting the cranks, and I was going to mention trolling the cranks in the river. Maybe we'll save that for a podcast coming up. I think a lot of guys would like to talk about trolling cranks in the river. I think a lot of guys would like us not to talk about trolling cranks in the river, but that is kind of our job, is catching more fish. Rich, salmon fishing this weekend. Hey, did none of you guys want to get in this giveaway? All you had to do was share the post and comment what you wanted to fish for this fall. I don't see anything in there. Salmon fishing. Rich is the only one in the giveaways. Shoot. I'm just giving you guys a hard time. Anyone that's in here will be entered into the giveaways. Obviously, we appreciate the shares. But hey, we're going to wrap this thing up, guys. One thing I do want to mention, we released it earlier today. I do want to take a second to talk about it. We've got some people in here, but we are releasing the Hook One Angler Club. It was something that a lot of our anglers have talked about that they wanted us to do. We're only going to start out with one tier right now, so I would recommend getting in before we go to a two-tier system, because the prices might change a little bit. But for right now, it's $5 a month. You're going to get put into the Hook One Angler Facebook page, which is going to be a Facebook page that's clean, that's fun, that's informational, that's enjoyable. I just see way too much nonsense out there on a lot of these Facebook pages. I see a lot of rude I see someone asking a simple question, and I see a lot of rude comments. I see a lot of mean comments. I see a lot of guys putting each other down or calling them stupid. We all had to learn at some point, right? Like, if it wasn't for for some of these people in the chat, especially guys like Cody, I never really would have gotten into this. For those of you guys that know my story, like, my parents weren't into it, right? So like, my friends got me into it, and I had a lot of questions and I had to learn. I spent a lot of time and a lot of money doing that stuff. And besides for friends, I didn't really have anyone to answer questions because I refused to go into those Facebook groups. So if you're part of the Hook One Angler Club, you're going to get access to our private Facebook page, which is probably my favorite part about it. Because we're also going to do up-to-date fishing reports. I'm going to post in there pictures like, hey, we crushed them on this today. If you got anything that looks like this in your tackle box, go use them. So we're going to be doing that. We've also given anyone that gets into the club a 10% discount code for an order up to $100. What else do we got? You've obviously got the loyalty badge. Shame on me for forgetting what everything is. But I really didn't even plan on bringing it up. But you can check it out. It's on our page. If you go to subscribe, it'll tell you exactly what it is. We're going to do live Q&A, something similar to this, where I'll sit down, and if you're a member, we'll just jump right into it and talk about it and get a little more in-depth on it. Because sometimes with a normal Facebook page, and we've got like, which I'd obviously like a lot more, but we've got like 6,500 followers. It's hard to give everybody that information. So you guys are awesome. Everyone that's been in this feed, anyone that's listened to our podcast, they're absolutely our best supporters. And so I think you guys deserve to benefit off that just as much as we do. So just check that out. Obviously, I'm going to plug that. The Hook One Angler Club. If you go to our Hook One Bait and Tackle Facebook page, there's a button there that says subscribe. I think it even gives you a 7-day free trial. So you can check it out because we got a couple things going on this week. And then at the end of every month, we're going to do giveaways. So that way, like if you were to join in the beginning or middle of the month, you could still be in for a giveaway at the end of the month. So we're going to do a giveaway every month to all of our subscribers and supporters. All right. All right. Let's give some stuff away. I'm going to scroll through these comments real quick. I didn't bring a pen, so I got to keep notes. Talk about being organized. Unbelievable. I don't have any pens around the bar. Just whiskey and beer, which I guess isn't a bad thing. All right. So, first thing we're going to give away is a $25 gift card. We're going to give it away to someone random here in the chat. And we want to thank, of course it is, Jesse. Congratulations, Jesse. You won the $25 gift card. And the only reason I say of course it is because I feel like Jesse has a 4-leaf clover in his pocket because I feel like during the Derby it goes really well. Oh, that's one thing else. Really quick, while I'm doing the next two giveaways, if you guys would be interested again in a fall, so we talked about the pop-up tournament. I definitely would be interested in doing the fall Derby again, doing like an October and November Derby. If you guys would be interested in the Derby, just comment below. Let's do a Derby or whatever. Just let me know you want to do a Derby. That would be pretty cool if we want to do something like that. All right. The winter of the plastics is Jeff. Congratulations, Jeff. Jeff Van Tor. You won yourself 5 packs of split tails and 5 packs of paddle tails. Congratulations, brother. I appreciate you. And the winner of the tumbler and sticker pack is... And stop. Beth. Congratulations, Beth. You are the winner of our tumbler and stickers. Obviously, you guys are in here. I obviously know how to get a hold of all you guys. Let me wait until tomorrow when I get in the shop. I'll be there all day, 7 to 5. So what I will do is reach out to you guys. Just shoot me a DM, Jesse, Jeff, Beth. Shoot me a DM. Let me know if you want me to mail you your stuff or if you want to just come pick it up in the store. That would be sick. But other than that, I'll get to it tomorrow, and we will move on from there. Any other questions? Derby sounds good. All right. Well, for those of you that aren't in the live chat and you just decided to watch an hour long of me babble on about walleyes, if you want to see a Derby, drop below in the comments, shoot us a message, let us know you want to do a Derby. If you maybe want to see a tournament, tell Jeff. I'm just kidding. I'm going to touch up on these last comments. And then I'm going to go inside to a 3-foot tall monster that's been controlling my life. Right? We've all been there. All right. Sheephead. Yeah, Roy. Doesn't it seem like the sheephead always show up during tournament time? It's pretty unbelievable, actually. All right. Beth, perch fishing with Cole. Beth, there's been some big perch around. Might be worth getting out there and seeing what's out there. Peter, where am I salmon fishing? I think I'm going to go trout fishing, man. The salmon fishing is still pretty good on the west side of the state. From the sounds of it, a lot of fish have got pushed up into the river and into the bay. So if you guys if you really like to want to target salmon and you want to catch them jigging or you want to catch them on light tackle, I highly suggest going now and getting into one of those bays or getting up into the rivers and chasing them. From the sounds of it, from my buddies over there, it's been really good. Fish have been actually running a lot, or pretty much bigger in the river and in the lake than they have been on the big lake, which just tells me that the big ones are just biting a little bit better. But yeah. Yeah, Roy, I got to call you. Jeez, Pete. We were talking about your plastics and jigging and everything. For any of you guys that followed along that love Pete's plastics, we've got some big things coming this year. I think you guys are going to be super excited to hear about that. That we're going to be touching on a different podcast. And Pete's going to be sitting down with us, and we're going to talk about how he comes up with these custom colors. We're going to have maybe some tubes in the mix, maybe some meat rigs in the mix, tons of plastics. I think, Pete, are you still here in the chat? Are we doing paddle tails? That way you guys can blow up his inbox. I'm evil. Sorry, Pete. Derby, derby, derby. All right, we'll probably do a derby. Stay tuned. Probably do it in October. Why not? Jeff's got the scale. Oh, man, a fall tournament would be fun. Why do I do this? Why do we do this to ourselves? Ready for winter and shows? Yeah, Rich, I'm not ready for winter at all. I'm not going to lie to you. But I'm really excited for the shows, and I know the shows come with the winter. Unfortunately, I will not be in Grand Rapids with you guys this year, I don't think. Unless Allie lets me leave the house with a newborn. We got a baby coming in March. So I don't think I'll be in Grand Rapids. But I'm super stoked for Novi. We have some huge plans for Novi. I don't even want to touch on it right now. I've actually been in touch with Pat. Pat's got some really big things coming up for Novi. Our boys, I see Luke's in the chat. Our boys over at Superior Fishing have some big things for the show. I know the plastics are going to be incredible. Roy just spoiled another little surprise in the chat. So for the rest of you that are still here, you're getting some juicy tidbits of information because I think Fat Boy Jigs is going to be coming up with some color shifting jigs that are going to match some of Pete's plastics. We've got some really big things planned, but the thing I'm most excited for about the shows is seeing everybody again. I cannot wait to see the crew again, see the Mags crew, see the guys from Superior. We always have Lance. I don't know if Lance is still here, but we always have Lance from the Walleye Zone and Teaching Fish, and he's always across the hall from us. So I'm just excited to see all the guys again and get back to all of our shenanigans and all that fun stuff. Rich, I hate winter, dude. Hate it. Hate the ice. I'll catch them. I'll go out there. I got really into walleye fishing on the ice till my ice blew all the way across the lake. Maybe if I could stay on a better perch bite, I'd enjoy it. But you're also in the UP, Rich, so you got 7 months of winter up there. That groundhog never sees his shadow, it don't seem like. But if there's no ice, I'm going to be fishing the river. We're going to be salmon fishing. We're going to be walleye fishing. Probably going down to Lake Erie. I definitely want to do the slam and the brawl. Yeah, and then for the Novi show, so like we talked about that Hook One Anglers Club, we're going to be giving away a bunch of tickets to a lot of our subscribers. And then for our podcast, we always do a giveaway as well for tickets. For the show podcast, I think last year I might have did a Facebook Live. I'll probably do another Facebook Live for the podcast as well. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm not ready for show season. You got a lot going on come show season, Lance. You got a lot to get ready for, buddy. You got all your baits, all your seminars. I mean, shoot, I feel like you got 10 seminars in 4 days. So you got you got a lot to get ready for. Luke, I love ice this year. Luke, I think I know why you're saying that. I don't think I'm allowed to say why you're saying that yet, but keep an eye out for Superior Fishing products. I think they're going to have some pretty cool stuff for all you ice fishermen. And also, if you want any Superior Fishing products, like, how good is my pointing? That one right there. We carry them in the store. Not only do we carry them in the store, we can help you put together your online order. We can drop ship it right to your house. So if you want to come in the store and see what you're ordering before you order it, we will have them at the store. We've got ratcheting rod holders. We've got their 4-place rod rack in the store. We've got their planer board holder in the store. We've got cup holders with the tool holder in the store. We've got net holders in the store. So we've got all that stuff. So if you want to come check it out, you can just come see it. We're there. We're in the store right now every day, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And Sundays we're out of there at noon because it's football season. And as bad as the Lions looked, I'm not missing a game. All right, y'all. We've been here for an hour. I appreciate the heck out of you guys for staying in here. This is why the fishing community is so cool. If there is anything else that y'all have, let me know. I'm going to check one more thing real quick, and then we're out of here. You'll be able to watch this. For those of you that missed it or that you want to watch, you can find it. Yeah, the add-on tool holder is awesome. There's my ADD in perfect form right there. I see a comment pop up, and I have to address it. The add-on tool holder is awesome. I actually don't have any of those in the store. for a sample, but like I said, we can order it and drop ship it to anywhere. So we're happy to help out with that. But yeah, I am looking forward to it. Best on the market, just decked out my boat. Yeah, they are. They are the best on the market, and you get what you pay for. I mean, there's a lot of good companies out there, but and it's not only the products, it's not only the welding, it's not only the way the products are put together, but it's the customer service. Like, it's very rare in this industry nowadays to reach out to somebody and be able to get a hold directly of the owners. So if you can do that with a company, I think that's super important. We base our business off of that, having good customer service and good support. So I think, and we work with a bunch of companies that do that as well. So there's a lot of good companies out there that we try to associate ourselves with. And honestly, our customers make that possible. So I think they're working on that, Cody. I think they're working on electronic mounts. That's for Luke to answer. But I don't think so right now. I think there's just way too much going on. All right. I'm out of here. If you guys are just tuning in or you missed anything in the beginning, we had a 3-segment seminar or podcast or whatever. It felt like a seminar. We talked trolling, we talked casting without Livescope, and we talked vertical jigging. We talked a little bit of nonsense. We talked about having a derby. We gave away some stuff. We talked about the Hook One Anglers Club. And that's it. I think that's it. We talked about just about everything. Now I got to clean up all these baits. I got crankbaits everywhere just sitting around. But that's how she goes. All right, y'all. I appreciate you very much. It was really cool to see everybody again, especially a lot of our friends, Luke, Rich, Cody, Pete, Roy, Kurt, Rich, Jeff, Lance, Jesse was in here, Beth. I already said Kurt. I'm trying to scroll through the comments. I appreciate the heck out of you guys. We will see you next time. We will see you next week as we get back to a regular schedule on the Hook One Pod. Adios.